What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. I got into it with someone on the comment section after my Jake Barber video, and this person seems to think that I am an anti-Greer creator. Others also tell me that I am an anti-Lou Elizondo creator because I've criticized them both, and I will continue to do so if I see inconsistencies. I always do it respectfully. I never name call, but I am going to point out flaws that I see and potential mistakes that I see. And if we're going to be completely honest, I do think that Jake Barber's interview uh, gave Dr. Stephen Greer more credence to all of his statements and some of his predictions. I do think that. I think that Jake Barber talking about him was something that I do admire about Jake because it is true and he is right. One of the things that he gets the most flack about is the CE5. And if what Jake is saying on his whole testimony about psionics and summoning orbs and all this stuff is true, he's right about that at least. So I think that it's very honorable from Jake to give Dr. Stephen Greer the credit that he does deserve. But this also speaks volumes, this reaction specifically from the people that blindly believe Dr. Stephen Greer speaks volumes of the state of ufology right now and the state of this topic. Because when I and another like opening up to you again, my favorite documentary on UFOs, it is Unacknowledged. When I saw that, and it is directed by Mr. Michael Masala, who constantly works with Dr. Stephen Greer. He's the one asking the questions to him on his new podcast. And he raised an important question here in one of his tweets. He said that the real story here is that both sides, the government that is doing the control disclosure and Dr. Stephen Greer's scab, they both already think and believe that the phenomenon is real. That is not a question for them. What is happening right now behind the scenes, and I agree with that, is the narrative control that is taking place. Each group has their own agenda. If you see the Dan Farah documentary, there's a lot of different hints there that a conflict with the US, between the US, China, and Russia could be on the horizon, and UAP could be the one thing that they fight over, UAP technology. That is very alarming to me. Why are they taking that stance? So, yeah, it is narrative control. But I also, and this is where I got into it with this person who said that I was a Stephen Greer denier or Stephen Greer hater and that I shit on him constantly. That is not the case. I don't really, if I have 5 videos about him, that would be too many. What I don't agree with Dr. Greer, even if he's right about a lot of things, is that he immediately points the finger and says, this is a disinformation agent, this is a disinformation agent, this is a disinformation agent. Or, yeah, all ETs are positive and none of them are malevolent at all. How does he know that? I also don't appreciate that this whole topic, whenever he's talking about it, he instantly makes it about himself. That is not a good sign. But yeah, that documentary, Unacknowledged, when I saw it, it really shocked me and it made me go down many rabbit holes. And it made me start questioning what the government really knows or has when it comes to UFOs. Something that really called my attention was that it's kind of evident by now that there seems to have been some kind of an agreement between Stephen Greer, Ross Coulthart, Jake Barber, and maybe some other people within the UFO community to release this together, sort of, in a concerted effort, sort of. if that is the case, that to me is positive, because that means that they managed to get past their petty differences, and they probably are trying to do something for disclosure for the better of humanity, not for themselves. And if that's the case, I completely support it, because we need more of that, especially in ufology. But yeah, I am not going to stop criticizing anybody that I think uh, are doing something that I don't agree with. This is what this channel is for. Not criticizing like in a negative way, but just pointing out the inconsistencies. And if you are one of the most important figures in this topic, you need to live up to the standard, because you need to lead by example. And making every single conversation about yourself and not the topic is not the way. Pointing fingers is not the way. Saying you know absolutely everything about the topic is not the way. You need to learn how to listen to others. Also, charging thousands of dollars for your events, for alien contact, that is not the way, man. I don't think that is. But that's just my opinion, you know. Right now, if I'm completely honest, I don't think we know exactly what is going on behind the scenes. I hope that they did reach an agreement and they're doing this together. But if they didn't, I still don't know who is the actual perpetrator of this, who is the actual liar of this. Because I may not like a lot of the things that Dr. Stephen Greer does, but he is recently, specifically, he's been right about a lot of things that he said. And that is alarming. Ross even mentioned the ARV. That is not a term that came out through Dr. Stephen Greer, but it is a term that became popularized because of him. And also, there's this Michael Herrera case, which I want to talk about. And I want to share part of this video with you guys so you can see what I mean.
In the course of your high-value target investigation, you met Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah, I did.
What was the purpose of meeting Dr. Stephen Greer?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that, you can say what you want about Dr. Greer, but the guy's been 30 years ahead of everyone else on a lot of the details of this subject.
So a lot of what he says is correct.
To me, he's like the Bentwaters. Like, we had everything we needed in 1980, and now we're fishing around for morsels of that. This guy, he's been ahead of everyone. And what I find quite funny is the one thing he gets the most shit for is the one thing he's probably most right about, and that is his CE5 protocol.
So CE5 is when he uses meditation and he claims it engages telepathically with the phenomenon.
Yeah, that's his term for it. Like, we don't use CE5. We don't use Dr. Greer's protocol. No to other people in the program or subsequent programs.
So CE5 is real.
Yeah, if we're going to use his term, I'll tell you what is real is the ability to go into something like a meditative state and summon UAP and pilot UAP. That is real. That's 100% real.
Wow. I have to process that for a moment, because that is just the most extraordinary claim.
Yeah. Well, we hope to prove it soon.
On what basis did you approach Dr. Greer?
My understanding was that whoever was in illegal possession of these HVTs may have the intention to expose that sensitive material as a whistleblower.
You were concerned he might take it to Dr. Greer?
Yeah, I was still working in my official capacity of protecting the sensitive data that was on these HVTs. That was my job at the time. So Dr. Greer was scheduling a whistleblower conference in DC and was holding a large event at the press club in Washington, DC. And so we reached out to him. One of my teammates made a bump with him in the Virginia area. and shared with him some information to pique his curiosity and to also bona fide ourselves as someone he should maybe consider listening to. And we set up a meeting, and I explained to him up front what our intentions were, that we believed that there were whistleblowers that might come forward with something that is sensitive and it may not be appropriate to disclose. And I asked to become asked to be put in a position of authority with him where I could vet his whistleblowers.
So this is funny because they also talk about Michael Herrera's case. And I just want to know, because Jake said that this idea of human trafficking was planted in people's minds right around the time when he approached Dr. Greer. And I want to know who did that, because I have heard Dr. Greer mentioning this aspect of Herrera's case, the human trafficking one. And now that Jake Barber is saying that that is not true at all, that is really concerning. Who from Dr. Greer's camp planted that idea on Michael Herrera and maybe Greer himself? I'm not saying that he did, but that is a red flag, in my opinion. Another red flag of many that I've seen in Dr. Greer. When I saw Unacknowledged, I never thought about the way he conducted himself because I wasn't aware of it. But then when I started looking into his behavior, I realized why there's a lot of people that don't agree with him in a lot of things and don't like him. So that's just to say, I am not going to accept someone who tells me that I shit on him when he behaves in that way. Why don't you call that out? Why? I think you should. Even if you think he's right about stuff, anybody who is right about anything, if they conduct themselves like that and in like a egotistical way, like they know everything that's going on, that is off-putting to anybody. So call that out too. I think it's fair. And I do think that he deserves the credit that he's getting. He does. I'm pretty sure that he's fought for decades for this. And the fact that he was being ignored for so long, that should sting quite a bit. I understand that. But also, try to play nice with others too. Why is it so difficult? I don't get it. I don't know if someone is in his ear telling him stuff about other people. That is also possible. That happens a lot in ufology. There's a lot of people that think that they know something about another person within the community, and whatever they think they know is just being told to their ear by someone who doesn't have the best intentions. That happens a lot here. So I would like to know if this has happened to Greer in the past. But let me know what you think. This is a very divisive subject. I can already see a lot of pro-Greer people coming at me. I don't want to fight, guys. I don't want to get into it in the comments. I'm just expressing what I feel and what I think. I will always be grateful to Dr. Greer for that documentary. That is one of my first entries into ufology. And it is fascinating. I'm not going to lie. It's my favorite UFO documentary ever. But there's also these other things that we cannot ignore. We need to do better. That's my point. Nothing more. Got nothing against the guy. He's probably a nice guy. I don't know. But yeah, I know it's divisive. I want you to talk about it. What do you think about this situation? What do you think about the hate against him? What do you think about this apparent confrontation between Dr. Stephen Greer's camp and Lou Elizondo's camp? Because there is a lot of division between those two camps. And I want to know why. What happened behind the scenes that made this a reality? Why can't they work together? Why is it so difficult? If you're supposed to be on the same side of disclosure, why can't you work together? I would love to know. If you know some insights into this, please let me know. Educate me. I don't know much about it. I just know what I see. I call it like I see it. I've also said that, for example, there are a lot of things that I don't like about loose environment. So what's up with that too? You know? But in this field, it seems almost like you can't really mention any of this without being targeted or harassed or doxxed. That's the main reason I try to avoid it. And specifically, not go into any details or name calling. But yeah, um, I hope that we can understand this whole situation better because it seems to be at the very center of disclosure. Please let me know your insights. If you like the content you see, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon, pick a link so you can support the channel in other ways. There's a members channel too. Thank you for the support. And I will see you guys in the next video. Stay curious. Bye-bye.